Hi there and welcome to the Barbara Young channel. Now I'm going to attempt to make a top that I've been putting off for quite some time really, partly because I did have a look at the instructions when I first got it and thought it's a bit more involved than I want to be, but I think it's about time I actually tackled it. It is my Kwik Sew 3899, which is as we call it in the UK, a waistcoat. I don't know, other places, other people call it slightly different things, but it's a waistcoat to me. Now, there are two styles on here. Let's show you the, let's see if that shows up. We've got an A and B. Now, A has a flat hem or a straight hem on there, and B has that sort of angled hem. A also has no collar. Sorry, A has a collar, but B has no collar. So it's a case of straight hem with collar or pointed hem, no collar. Now, when I looked at it, I thought, well, yeah, it's not what I want. What I want is the pointy hem, but with a collar. So I've got to try and merge these two views together. But first of all, let's have a look at the fabric, see what I've got going for this. Now, I think I did show this fabric a long time ago, but let's have a look at it now. I got this fabric and it came from a charity shop, and I've no idea what it is. No, it doesn't give me any ideas as to what this fabric is, and I don't think there's any label in there at all to tell me what it is. It's quite a thick material. I'd say it's almost like a woven wool, but I doubt there's any wool in it. Maybe there is, it doesn't feel like it. I'm hoping that it is cotton, but it's got a nice feel to it. Feels nice. It's certainly going to be warm, I imagine, but it's also slightly heavy, and I don't know how it's going to be to sew with. I imagine that it's going to be quite it's going to fray quite easily. It's going to be a fairly loose weave, I would have thought. I mean, it's got quite a good salvage edge, so I might be able to use that salvage edge constructively, because that's already there. So I might plan that in if I can, to use at the salvage edge some way. Yeah, nice material. Now this pattern does call for a lining as well. So the lining will be some cotton, and it is this stuff. Look at that, got cards on it, and that'll be sort of hidden on the inside, but will look great. You know, you open it up slightly and you can see that on the inside. Well, that'll be just brilliant. I like that. Got quite a bit of this, at least 2 meters or more. Won't need anything like that for making this, so I've got more than enough to make this, and hopefully something else on top of that, which will be quite good, because now I'll get maybe a shirt out of that as well, hopefully. So I think what I need to do is have a quick look at the instructions and go over the pattern. Now, this is going to be quite involved, so I am going to do it over several videos, at least 3 I would imagine, possibly 4, so I can actually go over the things I want to. So let's have a quick look at the instructions and see what it is I'm going to be doing with this pattern. In this video, I think I'll go as far as getting my pattern pieces and everything ready, and then we'll have a look at it after that. Now I've got my pattern here and my instructions. Now, as I like to do, I've cut my pattern pieces out into their individual pieces, but as the multi-size, so I can still copy them into the size that I want on some tracing paper. And just looking at the instructions, you can see this is it in total. 2 pages, that's all you get. But It is quite comprehensive. There's a lot of information in here from having a quick read over it, and it does seem to be that you're sort of making two jackets. You're making the main outer piece and then the lining piece as you go along, and at some point you sort of add them in together as you go through the process of construction. There is interfacing as well to put on this, so I'll need some biggish bits of interfacing, so I might actually have to get some interfacing because I don't have that much at the moment, so that'll be a bit of a problem for me at the moment, but I'll have a look at that and see how that works out. But yeah, not too bad. Now the one thing that I have got is, because I want to merge the two patterns, let's get this, I had a look at the ones that overlap and don't for the straight edge and pointed. So I'm making this one but with the pointed bottom bit. Now on here I have actually marked it up so I can sort of see which pieces I'm going to need and how I'm going to double it up. So what I've got is piece 1 and 2 and 8 and 9, which is these two here and these two down here, is where I've got to do the workings of trying to make this fit across two patterns. Yeah, so that is the tricky part of it. So I think what I need to do is just show you what my plan is to try and get pointed edge, pointed hem on a collared top part. So let's have a look at that, see if I can get that on the camera. So what I've got here is piece 1 and piece 8, or say pattern piece 1, pattern piece 8. Now these are both the front, but one is view A and one is view B, and I want a view A collar piece because this has got the collar on it, but view B for this bottom edging. But I need to map them over one another, and I'm thinking, how can I do that? What's going to be the best way to do that? And I think from looking at this, the best way will be to match up this top shoulder seam. That's where the most alignment seems to be. So if I can carefully get that lined up, then when I trace it out, hopefully the top sections will be correct, and it'll just be the bottom section that I alter and differ or merge the two together. So I've got that lined up like that. So there, that is lined up at the top there. What that means is that down the bottom here I can just move that. I'll see if I can move the camera to show you, and we'll just do that and that. And then down the bottom here, when we get this angle that we need for view B, I can match it off of this line and this line to try and get it on there, and that'll be probably the easiest way to do it. Also notice that there's a centre front line here. If I can match these two centre front lines up as well and this shoulder, then hopefully I should have everything sort of lined up nicely to be able to do that. So get some tracing paper out and have a look, see if I can get that done. So I've gone ahead and actually drawn out and cut out my actual piece that I want on my tracing paper. I've done that, so you can see that even though pattern view A has got the straight hem, I've actually managed to get it matched up. So I've got view B cut out, but only for this bottom hem piece. The rest of it as we go up is correct for view A with the collar piece in there. The other thing I notice as well is that when it's overlapped, it's telling me about the button positioning. Now button positioning for view A is just one button, but on view B it's got two, and I'd like two buttons, so I'm marking it for two buttons. Yeah, but that's how I've done it. I've just overlaid them two, used of that shoulder line and the centre front line to get them lined up with each other, and then I've done my piece from that. So there we go, merged two pieces or two pattern pieces together to make a slightly different look to this waistcoat, hopefully. The only trouble is that I've also got to do this for what is, let's have a look on here, it tells me it's for the that's 2 and 9, so that this is the front view, and I've also got to do the front facing piece also needs to have this matching up process done so I can get it to meet, because I think the front facing goes on the back of this front section at the front here. So obviously it has to match up at the bottom there for it to work right. So I'll get that made and get the other pieces cut out and see where I am then. So I've got all my pattern pieces cut out now. There's quite a few of them. I mean, like I said, I've got the front piece along with its facing piece. Sorry about the crinkliness, it does make a noise. But hopefully I've managed to try and get this to sort of be a facing piece for this. Yeah, hopefully it'll work. It wants to roll up on itself. And then the other pieces, which of course also means we've got side pieces, back piece. I've also got another facing piece that goes in there on the side. And then I've got here for the collar, because this is going to be the version with the collar. And also, oddly enough, view B without the collar, standard, has the little back, one of those things, you know, where you sort of loop it up and you can take up a bit of tension, a bit of slackness in the back there. Now you have that on view B, but not on view A. But I'm going to have that on mine. Or at least I'm going to try and put it on there anyway. So that's all my pieces cut out. So I suppose I can have a go at getting some material cut out, but I'm not going to touch the good stuff. I'm going to be touching the the duvet sets. I'm going to be cutting it out and making a mock-up, because I think this will require a mock-up to do it. So let's get this on the material and see what I can get cut out. Well, I've got all my pieces cut out, but what I'll do is I'll quickly explain what I've cut out, because, well, there's quite a few pieces to this, but there's not a lot, not massive amounts, but enough to maybe cause some confusion. So I'm just going to go through them just to make sure I've got everything, I know what I'm looking at. So I've got, the other thing I've done as well, because I've got so many pieces, and this is just going to be for the mock-up, I've marked on the inside what is going to be the wrong side. And the way I've marked it is to actually write the number, what the pattern base, I don't know if you can see that there, it's a bit light. But basically, in Roman numerals, I've written the pattern piece number on there. Done it in Roman numerals because it's easier to write on there. With a bit of chalk, so I know that that is the wrong side and I know which piece it is. So starting off, should have laid these out a bit better really. I've got the back, so this is the back, and the back piece comes in two parts. It's not on the fold, it's actually going to be sewn together, and you have an inner piece, what's called a lining piece for this. So that would be from the, and the other thing with this, I've done it as it's the mock-up, that purple is, or the lilac, is going to be the main material and the white is the lining. So that's the back, that's quite simple. Of course, when it all comes together, it doesn't go together so simply, I don't think. It comes together in a different manner, but anyway, there we go, that's the back. Then I've got side panel. There's a side piece on this, goes there, and this also has, I did pick it up, a main piece and a lining. So again, quite simple. We've got two parts. They're going to go together somehow. And then I've got here, now this is, let me just have a look what I wrote on there. This is number 5. So number 5 is the front lining. Now the front lining is a bit odd because this doesn't seem to cover the whole of the front section. That's because next to it is this piece. Now this is the, what have I called this? Is number 2, yeah, the front facing piece. So inside on the front, instead of having a lining piece, what they're doing by the looks of it is the inside, the first part of the inside of the jacket, or waistcoat as I call it, is going to be the same material as the main material on the front. So this will be lining it, but so this is a facing and not a lining, but it will join up with this lining piece here, and that will form the first section there. And then we'll have a side piece, which is that one I've just had here, will go next to it under the arm. So that's already getting confusing. And the other thing about this is, obviously this is quite a lightweight material. I'm not making this to actually simulate how the gum will come out. It's more just to understand the construction process, because obviously to simulate the same sort of material that I'm going to be using, that's quite thick and heavy, and it's not going to be anything like how this is going to look. But I will understand the construction process by doing the mock-up with this material, and hopefully using this material should make it a bit easier. But anyway, there you go, that's the facing piece and the front lining, which only leaves me with the front, which is that bit. Now with this piece, I've got this pointy bit on the front there because that's how I want it, yet the neckline is actually for the one with the collar, to have a collar piece. So I presume that this somehow is going to get folded back and have the collar pieces attached to it. And the other thing as well with doing that is, because I've shaped that differently, I've got, get back to that piece, my facing piece for the front, which goes on the inside, has also had to have a different shaping to it so that it hopefully match up with the front outer piece, and that's why we've got that. Otherwise, if it was view A with the collar on it, it would just be straight across on the bottom. So that is effectively all of my pieces, with the exception of the collar pieces, of which we do have this one, which is 2 of these. This is on either side. That one is cut on the cross grain, so that's going to be entertaining to work out. And then this is the what they call the upper collar. So I presume this is the part that's going to go sort of round the back on the top. I've had to cut one of those on the fold. Not sure quite how that'll go in, but there's those 2 pieces as well. They don't seem to be lined. They are, that one is interfaced, and there also is some interfacing to do on this. I'm not going to interface the actual mock-up because I think that would be a waste, even though it might give you an idea of how it goes on. But I'm just more after the construction method and process, as I've said, so that I can basically get it together without any problems. So that so far is what I've got for my Kwik Sew 3899. Now hopefully when I get back to this video, which will be in the next video, I'm going to do that, is actually get the mock-up together, because I don't know, I seem to have spent quite a bit of time doing this already. I know this video isn't particularly long, but if I was to do the whole thing in one go, I'd probably end up with like an hour-long video, which is a bit much to cope with. So there we go. Kwik Sew 3899 waistcoat, jacket, or whatever you want to call it, is now prepped. It's completely prepped for doing a mock-up. So yeah, next stage will be the mock-up in my next video. So next time I get back to you, we'll be making some garment. Well, thank you very much for watching my video, and I look forward to seeing my next video. Remember to click that like button if you like this video, and please do subscribe if you want to see more of the making of my waistcoat. Bye.